My biggest fan. My #1 subscriber looking at me. Dad! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am celebrating 1 year of being on Airbnb and being a short-term rental host. Now, in today's video, we are going to be breaking down those results after 1 year, some of the things that I wish I would have done different, and what are some of those tips that I would offer to brand new hosts who are just starting out. So as you can tell, we are in a totally different location than normal. I've been in my office working all day on my second Airbnb. You can check out the video on that here, but I just wanted to get out of the office, so we have moved down to my porch where there's a little bit more sunlight and honestly just a totally different view because I'm sick of being in my office. So now I've been on Airbnb for a little bit over a year, and I just kind of wanted to walk through that journey, what it was to start an Airbnb, how I'm totally viewing this as a totally different business now, and then some tips and tricks for those of you who are just starting out. If we scroll back all the way to July of 2021, that is when I started accepting my first guests on the property. I had no idea what I was doing. I had a little bit of process, but not much, and I was basically just trying to figure it out as I went. Now, let's fast forward to now where I have my second property, where we're just getting underway. We're excited to host our first guest here, hopefully as soon as August 1st, but we'll see. And now I have basically a plan of growth that I want to hit. I've shared with you what that is on separate videos, but let's focus on this property, my profits, and what I would have done differently. So let's break it down to the true numbers of this property. Now, I started this with a goal to make $1,394 in profit each and every month. Now, for the first few months, I started to make that happen. There were a couple of months that I didn't necessarily hit that goal because I was investing in the property, had no idea what I was doing with pricing, and obviously things have changed now to where I am averaging around $2,400 to $2,800 in pure profit each and every month. And my goal for 2021 was to get as many bookings as I possibly could, make sure I could absolutely impress guests with all of the amenities of my cabin, get those 5-star reviews, and then get myself to super host status, which is exactly what I did. So with that, making sure that I had a really, really high occupancy also meant that I needed to lower my prices. So my prices compared to 2022 were much lower, meaning that my profit and my gross margin were a lot less. But let's check out how much I made in the 2021 period, which started in July and ended in December. So in gross income, I made $25,804 total in gross income, which does not mean that's how much profit I made. Now we'll take out the expenses. Now the expenses, which were things like cleaning, maintenance, electricity, propane, any other things that I had to do with the property, software, things like that, that's what we all took out of those expenses. Now those expenses added up to $16,454 in total for 2021. So if we take that gross income and we subtract it from our expenses, we're left with around $9,350 of pure profit over that 6-month period, which is pretty awesome because I spent $27,000 and 6 months later, I have almost a third of that completely recouped. But now let's fast forward to 2022, which is comparatively my favorite year, I guess. So let's check out the gross income of the next 6 months. Now the gross income for 2022 was $33,008, which means we made a little bit more than $7,000 more in revenue, not to say profit. Now let's check out our expenses, which was $18,489 in total, which is even better than our first year. So obviously, if we combine those, that's a huge amount of profit in 1 year. So let's check out exactly how much that is. So that $14,518, if we add that to 2021's number, which was $9,350, that leaves us with a drum roll, $23,686 in pure profit in just 1 year with one unit that cost me $27,000 about a year ago, which means we've got around $3,720 left to pay off for that initial amount that I originally paid for the property. So these numbers are just wacko. But it is such a relief to know that all of the work that I put into this property, all of the money that I put into this property, all of the second guessing myself on this particular property and thinking that maybe I wasn't good enough to do this, all came out with a positive, and now the property basically prints money, which is fantastic. And that's exactly what I want to happen for all of you. And the reason that I am sharing these results on this YouTube channel and sharing as much information as I possibly can so that you guys can do the exact same thing. But let's get a little real for a second. If I were to do this over again, there were definitely gonna be a few things that I would have changed. Now the first one, and I'll continue to say it, was having processes already in place for what happens if something breaks, what happens if a guest complains, what are those best practices that I should have ready when something goes wrong. Now some of that you can learn ahead of time, but a lot of that you just basically have to experience it once and then figure out what's the best way to handle this guest or handle this particular situation. I will say though, if you have a fantastic team, which includes your realtor, your handyman, as well as your cleaner, those are really the key people that you need to address just about all of those concerns. Now the other thing, after launching, what I should have done, I just really wasn't aware of it at the time, would be to use a software to help optimize my prices. And that's exactly what I do with Price Labs, link in the description. But seriously, it totally transformed my business in 2022, which is why I made, a lot more money in 2022 than 2021, was because my prices were in line with what they should have been compared to the market. And then I would say number 3 would have been, I should have really trusted in myself a lot more than what I did initially. I still think I could have served my guests better if I was less self-conscious or super reactive to every situation. I think that now I just have a really cool head about anything that happens with my property. In fact, I just found out a couple of days ago that my air conditioning unit is failing, meaning that I'm gonna have to take a hit of $3,000 to $6,000 to replace it. Now, if that had been me 8 months ago, I would have totally been freaking out. Now, because I know, here's the process for doing that, here's what I need to communicate with guests, how do I, get the right people out there on the job, I'm just much more cool-headed about it now. And so I know that a lot of you who are brand new and starting out with Airbnb and short-term rentals, try to have as cool of a head as possible when situations or fires start happening. It makes your response to guests and to the people around you a lot better, and it ultimately results in a much more profitable business, as we can definitely see here in 2022. Now let's talk about the future of 2022 and beyond. So 2022, I absolutely think that this particular property is going to do phenomenal, as it did in the first half of 2022. Obviously, the market has changed. Guests are having different travel patterns, inflation, gasoline, blah, blah, blah. We're reacting to it. So we might not be as profitable as we were at the beginning of 2022, but I absolutely know that we're gonna continue to be successful in charming guests with the cabin. And on top of that, I've got a brand new cabin that we're just starting out. A lot of work, I'm focusing on that. And this cabin, because I have these processes set in place, it's really kind of running itself for the most part, unless I have to, react to a situation that a guest brings up. Now that does it for today's video. I hope you had a fantastic holiday weekend, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.